Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. I'm Brad,
This is Miguel.
and today we are talking our most anticipated movies of 2021. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to leave us a comment. Tell us what movies are you most looking forward to in 2021. And if you're listening on Spotify, be sure to tweet at us at We Talk the Movies, and let us know the same thing. What are you looking forward to? What do you most want to see? We have a whole list here. Hopefully we'll be able to get back in the movie theater soon, because I know there's a whole bunch of things going to streaming, but that really sucks.
Yeah, I pretty much miss paying $20 for popcorn and soda at this point. I hated it so much, but now I just miss it.
I know. A large popcorn from Cinemark with extra butter and a large Coke is pretty much the greatest thing. Like, I didn't know what I was missing until COVID hit and it was gone. But
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I'm ready to keep talking about all of these movies that are coming out. There's a couple movies on this list that you sent me that are actually pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And obviously there's some like MCU stuff, because I mean obviously people are anticipated for those, but there's a couple over here that I'm actually interested in, and some of them don't even have like information. Like they still don't have information about the movies.
Right.
Like for this one that I'm seeing right now, there's not even like a cover, and there's no trailer. All we know is that it's happening. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with 2021.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and I think COVID has a lot to do with it. Like, you know, a lot of these movies like Black Widow were supposed to release last year, but COVID happened and then they couldn't. And I think the future of some of them is kind of up in the air because of everything going on. So I don't want movie theaters to become the next Blockbuster or the next like Hollywood Video or something. You know what I mean?
hey man, all good things come to an end. Let's
I
be
know,
honest.
but I don't know. I mean, movie theaters have been around for so long though. Like, it's such a big part of like pop culture. I mean,
I mean,
it's not the same. Like, I know a lot of this stuff is going to screening, but I mean, last week we talked Godzilla versus Kong, and I don't think it would be the same experience watching it on HBO versus watching it on a big screen, because I mean, it's surround sound and a, however many foot long screen. So
that's true. I mean, I always like going to the IMAX ones. That's the ones I always love going to, like the Regal. That
yeah,
one always had the best experience that I've had.
yeah.
So where did we see Godzilla versus Kong? Was that at Cinemark or
You mean King
IMAX?
of the Monsters? We saw that at Cinemark.
We did.
Yeah, we
I
saw
say
that at a
Godzilla versus
Cinemark.
Kong, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. I
No,
wish
we
we
definitely
could
did
say
see
that,
that.
but not yet.
Yeah,
We
we
haven't
we
seen
don't get
anything for that.
we don't get special privileges, guys. Like,
But so let's check this out. So January, there was nothing interesting that I found coming out in January. Like I just there was nothing. I think again a lot of that ties into COVID. They're probably trying to figure out if the theaters are going to open. They're trying to figure out what it's going to look like for people to go back. Are people going to want to go back, or are they going to want to stream everything? Um,
doesn't that all depend on like the vaccine and all that? I mean, I know they're just like pulling all that stuff out now, but I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it depends on whether the vaccine is widely available, and I think whether movie theaters are open, but B, whether or not people are too afraid to go to the movie theater. Which we went and saw. What did we see? Tenet. Julia and I went and saw Tenet when it came out. It was
you did.
clean. Yeah, we went to the Florence Theater and we went and saw it. It was a Cinemark, and it was clean. Like everything was clean. They wiped everything down once we got our popcorn and stuff. Like the seats were all wiped down. Like there was a little sign there that said like this has been sanitized from. And there were 4 people in the movie theater. Like there was nobody there. It was awesome. But
That's
so yeah,
man. I miss the old movie theaters.
I
Like I used to
really do.
walk. I used to walk out, and I would have like popcorn kernels stuck in my shoe
Hmm.
from walking out of movie theater. I want that back. Let's
Yeah,
bring that back. I know
I
that
know.
wasn't sanitary, but let's bring it back, guys.
Yeah, I miss the whole experience because obviously renting a movie, you can rent a movie and it's going to be the same experience you know, if you rent a movie from Blockbuster versus renting a movie on HBO or on, you know, Primetime or whatever. But like going to the movie theater is a completely different experience. So I really hope we don't lose that. I don't think we will. I think they'll bounce back. But
I mean, yeah, I figured they
so,
would.
we'll figure it out. But all right, so February. On February 26th, we have Tom and Jerry. This is going to be directed by Tim Story. It's starring Chloe Grace Moretz, Michael Pena, Ken Young, and a whole bunch of other people. I forget who is actually playing Tom and who's playing Jerry.
They don't have voices.
Do they even talk?
No, I don't think they do talk. No.
Okay. I was never really a big Tom and Jerry. I mean, it was funny, I guess, when I was little, but I never really got into it. The trailer kind of struck me as weird because it's got that like Who Framed Roger Rabbit thing going on where it's like it's kind of animated, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's basically cartoon characters like coexisting with like actual actors.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much the same thing as Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
And it's and hopefully I think Space Jam is probably gonna do the same thing. But let's be honest, like it's either that or we get whatever the hell they gave us with Sonic in the first run.
Yeah.
And we all know who hated that.
I didn't even see Sonic. I didn't care to see Sonic. I just didn't. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I need to watch that again. It's been way too long since I've seen that movie.
Yeah, for sure. I need to watch it again too.
Yeah.
I like those types of movies. It seemed very kooky to some degree, which is pretty much what I kind of got the gist of with this trailer. I remember when I saw this trailer, I showed it to a friend, and she was like, "This is either gonna bomb or it's actually gonna be funny." Like we honestly don't know.
Right, and I mean, I don't know. It'll be fun. It'll just be a fun movie. In March, moving on to March, Coming to America. So this is the sequel to Coming to America from, I'm not sure what year the first one came out. I think it was in the 80s. I think it was in like the late 80s with Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall. Have you seen Coming to America?
I literally saw it last night.
I love that movie. I need to rewatch it before this one. I believe a lot of the same cast is coming back. I think James Earl Jones is coming back, I believe.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's got to be up there.
He still looks the same. Let's be honest. There's a couple of older actors here that just never age.
Yeah. But I think it's cool that the whole cast is back.
Half the cast was Eddie Murphy. Do you not remember that?
I know, but I mean, like a lot of like his parents and the people that came with them from Africa. So.
Oh yeah, I gotcha.
Did you see the trailer for part 2?
I like briefly saw it, and I liked it a lot. And actually, I think I see right here it says it is including James Earl Jones.
Yep.
And let me read this real quick. It says Akeem learns that he has long lost son he never knew about who might be heir to the throne. Oh man,
yeah,
that's actually really weird.
He's going to New York. I don't know. That's going to be a fun one. I was kind of shocked that this is only going to be on Amazon Prime.
Is it really?
Yeah, I mean, it's an Amazon original, which, again, the world we're living in. I understand. They probably knew they were making a sequel to that, and Amazon was like, "We want it."
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Pretty much.
So that'll be a fun one. I remember watching that when I was like in high school with my parents. My parents showed that to me, and I thought it was hilarious.
I thought McDowell was a real thing. I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw it, I was like, "Dad, can we go to McDowell?" He's like, "McDonald's." I said, "No, let's go to McDowell."
McDowell.
Like I want a Big Mick, not a Big Mac. Okay, guys.
Did you see the same people there? All of the people in the barbershop that Arsenio and Eddie played, they're still gonna play all those same characters.
Yeah, because it's all Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so like I love that. So I can't wait to see this one.
That's pretty cool. Next, March 19th, we have Morbius. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really dive into Morbius until I rewatched the trailer this afternoon. I think it's gonna be kind of cool.
It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be basically like an anti-hero kind of thing, same as Venom.
Right.
Which I have no like knowledge of the story of Morbius. I just know him as like some vampire villain that attacks Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, the official synopsis on IMDb says biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. So he's trying to cure this crazy disease he's got, but instead he turns himself into a vampire. So that's kind of an odd. I'm curious to see how that works.
I mean, it's the same as like the Amazing Spider-Man. Whenever I
Dr.
forgot his name.
Connors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Connors. He becomes a lizard. 'Cause he's trying to save his arm, I think, and he ends up becoming a giant lizard.
Right.
So I mean, it's pretty much the same premise. Almost every single one of Spider-Man's villains are kind of like that.
They're very similar.
Yeah, almost pretty similar, but
Yeah.
still always entertaining.
Right. Rewatching the trailer this afternoon, I couldn't help but notice, and I know we have this Spider-Verse movie coming up. The mural on the wall, Jared Leto is like running down an alley, and there's like a graffiti of Spider-Man up on the wall, and it says murderer across it.
Yeah.
It looks like Tobey Maguire's version of Spider-Man. It doesn't look like the Tom Holland suit. So
It does.
are they gonna pull Venom and Morbius from a different universe and then throw them into the mix with this new Spider-Man movie?
I have no clue, man. That's a Pandora's box right there. You're trying.
I know we just talked about all this, but
I'm
it
still
just makes
trying to
me
figure
wonder.
it out.
I know. It just makes me wonder, like, what they're going to do. Because, it looks exactly, like, dead on Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man suit.
Mhm.
So.
But, I mean, I figured, I don't know, whenever it came to Morbius, and then I heard Blade was coming out, which I love Blade.
Yeah.
I figured, like, those two are going to meet up because, Blade is a vampire killer, and Morbius is a vampire. So.
Yeah. The only thing, I think Blade doesn't come out, though, until, like, late well, I can say next year now because it's not 2020 anymore.
Yeah, true.
I think it's like late 22 or early 23. Like, I mean, we have a little while still for Blade.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't think Morbius is going to go anywhere. I mean, I think they're going to establish him as a pretty major villain. But I'm curious to see what they do with that. I think it'll be a different villain that we haven't really seen so far. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've never had a live action Morbius.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So it will be interesting to see this take on.
Yeah, I hope Jared Leto does a better job with Michael Morbius than he did with Joker from Suicide Squad.
Some people actually like that Joker, and I can see why.
It was okay. It worked in that movie, but like, I don't know. It's like I see Suicide Squad and then I watch like the new Joker film or I watch The Dark Knight and I'm like, nope. It's like no.
I'm sure everyone can agree that Jared Leto's in the bottom of best Joker, unfortunately. Yeah.
And it wasn't bad. It just didn't hit the mark for me.
Yeah.
It didn't hit the mark. So
I don't
know. All right, moving on. April, we have No Time to Die. This comes out on April 2nd. I have never, confession, I have never seen a James Bond movie all the way through.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious.
Dang.
It never interested me. I don't know.
Our entire family loved James Bond, mainly because of like what is it called? His like main like piece that he carries, the Walther PPK. Like that's like our entire family loves that gun. So like every time we see him shoot it, like it's just a blessing.
Yeah.
And especially Daniel Craig's like version of James Bond, it's so gritty. Because all the other James Bonds were like, suave and sophisticated, which Daniel Craig does embody that, but he's so gritty when it comes down. Like he's so like he's such a gritty fighter, and just every scene he has is like all the action is pretty great. And this movie right here, I think it's gonna have Rami Malek. Do you know what I'm talking about? From
he's a good actor.
He's a good actor. Yeah,
he's a very good actor.
Have you seen Mr. Robot?
I haven't. I've heard it's really good.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen it.
I figured he'd do a great job just based on that TV show because he did a pretty darn good job with that one too.
Yeah. I don't have anything against the James Bond films. I just never, I've played the score. Like I'm a musician, I'm a music teacher. I've played the score in concerts before. It's great music. I know it's a great story. I've just never, I've never done it. So we might need to make that a commentary series. Do all the James Bond movies. That'd be kind of dope.
For sure, we'll add to
So
the list.
so check that out. Um, so moving on, this is one that's another kind of interesting take on a video game. April 16th, Mortal Kombat. I think isn't this the second remake?
It's yeah, it's the second one.
Yeah, I think
And
they already remade it at one point.
well, no, they did one live action one like a while ago. I remember when like whenever I think it was a couple years ago, I remember they dropped a trailer about like this new Mortal Kombat movie that was coming out, and it didn't have like a release date or anything, but they like made like a high budget trailer like talking about
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, and it was dope. It had a Michael J. White in it, who, if you guys know
Really?
about Michael J. White, wait, am I thinking of the same Michael J. White? He was in let me think. He was in Never Back Down 2, and he was in a couple other like low budget fight movies.
Yeah.
And whenever I saw that trailer, I thought it was actually pretty dope. It was centered around Scorpion, and it was a more like realistic approach to it. So like if I'll send you the video of that trailer, it's actually kind of dope. And then
Yeah,
nothing
I'll have to
happened.
check that out.
But listen, nothing happened. Like I saw that trailer and then no news came out. Like I don't know whether they just like didn't do the movie or not.
Yeah.
But then this came out and it's gonna be on HBO Max too, right?
I
It's
believe
another
so, yeah.
streaming.
It's going to be, I mean, I think everything being released on HBO Max is going to be in the movie theater too, but I think they have the silver lining of it being on HBO Max. So this will be one that is released on HBO Max, like simultaneously with the theatrical release. So,
Gotcha. And I'm actually kind of curious which storyline or story arc they're gonna go by, because honestly, Mortal Kombat has been rebooted like 3 or 4 times, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
Like ever since the
Well,
arcade.
and the thing with video game adaptations is like there's so many different places you could go. Like you could do anything. You could literally do anything you want.
I don't know about that. There's a lot of like diehard fans that want to see certain things, and if they don't do it, it's gonna
Right.
be like another adaptation that people hate.
Well, and that, I mean that's the same thing with like Resident Evil. I mean, we have the new Resident Evil movie that's I believe that's supposed to come out this year. I don't know when exactly, but they just wrapped filming on that. I mean, you know, did you see Paul W. S. Anderson's Resident Evil movies
Are you talking about the one with like Mia
with
Yakovich?
Mila Jovovich?
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely say her name right. I
Yeah,
apologize if you ever see this, but yeah, I saw those. Those were all right.
they were okay. They just were like the first two were sort of in line with the games, kind of. The
Okay.
last like five or six were like I mean it was like we were kind of going and then we just tailspun and it was like a completely different direction. And like I don't know, the thing with I'm sure Mortal Kombat is like this. The thing with video game adaptations is like you have to do the characters right, because that was the problem. That was my biggest problem with Paul W.S. Anderson's Resident Evil films, was that there are so many good characters with like deep backgrounds that you have to like dive into.
Yeah.
And I mean, the later Resident Evil sequels, it was like Leon Kennedy, Chris Red. I mean, it was just like throwing characters at you without any backstory. Like they were just there to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, I
think that's
gotcha.
where it starts to get like, I don't care. Like you lose interest in the movie at that point because you know these characters and you know their backstory from the game. And then when they're not getting any justice on the screen, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I remember mentioning about. I remember I ranted you one day about that. I think it was like the first. No, it wasn't the first. It was like the, I don't know, fifth Resident Evil. I was telling you like, who is this guy with the long hair? Like, what's his deal? And then you're like, you remember I asked you about that?
The guy with the long hair.
Yeah, it turned out to be Leon.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Leon.
yeah. I was like, who is this little cat?
Oh,
And then you said,
yeah.
oh, that's Leon. And I was like, he don't no, he
But
doesn't look anything like him.
I mean, exactly. He's like a main character in the franchise, and he had like the one cameo in the one movie. I mean, there was no like, but there's no explanation for why they're there. They're just there to like throw lead at zombies. Like that's basically it. And like I think with this Mortal Kombat cast, like there are so many different characters. They need to like choose wisely and pick the ones that they're really going to give like actual story to. and like
Mhm.
substance, or else it's
Mhm.
just like people are just going to lose interest. It's not going to matter.
Yeah,
So,
like in this one, they have to focus on they have to focus. I would love to see them focus more on Scorpion and Sub
yep.
Zero because that storyline is like absolutely dope. Like in the video games, their storyline is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they're gonna like. They'll probably follow like the original storyline, if I'm not mistaken. So we won't know like the whole history of what happened. Which,
Right.
if you guys have played the Mortal Kombat games, you know what I'm talking about. Like the stories run deep, and I think in the first one they just like breeze right through like, oh, here's why everyone's acting this way, but and then there's like more into it as you can progress through the games. But I'm pretty hyped about this one. It said it's coming out when? Like April 16th?
April, as of now, April 16th of this year. So
Yeah, this one was supposed to open up in January 15th. Yep, that's not happening.
yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. It's kind of funny, dude. So in Florida, I was born in Florida, and in the county we lived in, there was an ice rink, and it was a hangout spot. You know what I mean? And I remember like going there for birthday parties and hanging out with my friends and stuff. And all of the arcade games, I remember playing Mortal Kombat, sitting there with all the
Yeah,
arcade games. And
yep.
that's the only time I ever really remember playing Mortal Kombat, honestly. I don't ever remember playing it anywhere else other than there.
You
So
only played the arcades?
yeah, I think I've only ever played the arcade ones.
Dang, man, I played almost every single one of them.
Yeah.
Most of them are just like dumb and cheesy, but yep. The newest ones that came out, they're pretty dope.
Yeah.
And they also introduced some like movie characters. I don't know if you knew about that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like instead of like they like move forward with like the with the storyline and they add those characters, but they
Hmm.
also like they have like combat packs where there's like movie characters. So like in this new Mortal Kombat game, they have Rambo, they have the Terminator.
Really?
Yeah, like I
That's
would buy
pretty
that
dope.
game. It's pretty dope. Yeah.
Actually, I have seen that because they have Negan in one of them. Negan from The Walking Dead.
I don't think so. I think that's in another game.
Is it?
Yeah,
I might be thinking of something different. I don't know.
but yeah, they have like all these other movie characters, which is so dope. So
Yeah.
I mean, I would highly recommend you play that game.
Yeah. I forgot one. This is not going to be a theatrical release or anything. Um, In Search of Tomorrow on April 1st. Have you heard of In Search of Darkness?
No.
It's a documentary film. It's like 4.5 hours long. It came out a few years ago. I haven't seen it yet. I really want to. I think it's on Amazon Prime. Um, but it's In Search of Darkness was about 80s horror movies. It was like a documentary about like 80s horror and like how it was such a big craze. Well, they're doing another one called In Search of Tomorrow. It's all about 80s sci-fi films.
That's actually kind of dope. That's an
I know.
interesting.
It looks really good. I mean, I've heard In Search of Darkness is amazing. Like the extent, like the interviews that they got for that movie are crazy.
I know.
So
I like those documentaries where they talk about the
I
movies.
know. I think it's really interesting. There's one called Never Sleep Again. That's about the A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Hmm.
It may be the best documentary I've ever seen. And it's like the way it's done. Like it's so well done and like the way it's laid out is perfect. So I think that would be really interesting. I would love to watch that.
It's on Amazon Prime only.
It probably will be unless you buy it.
I gotta get an Amazon Prime account.
I know, and
I
it's like
literally,
that
I
was the
literally
bad
borrowed.
thing. Yeah, that was the bad thing about In Search of Darkness. It's like $60.
Nope, I'm good. No
But
documentary is good enough for
look
sixty
what you're
bucks.
getting though. It's like 4.5, 5 hours long plus all the content in it. I mean, it's crazy. So
Still not spending $60.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I thought it was interesting. Moving on, April 23rd, A Quiet Place Part 2. Now, I don't. Did you see A Quiet Place Part 1?
I did, and I
I
liked it.
loved it. I thought it
Yep.
was awesome. Um, I thought it was really simple. Like it wasn't. It's such a simple concept and a simple script. Like it doesn't have to be over the top. I know they have to do the CGI creatures and stuff, but I mean like even the set design and everything. I mean it was so simple. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they're in their house. They're walking around barefoot on the sand to try to, keep quiet. I mean, it was so simple. So I'm kind of curious now that John Krasinski's character is gone. Of course, he's returning to direct it. But now that his character's gone, where are they going to go? They're kind of having to go off in the world. And she's got a newborn baby on her hands, too, with their other two kids. So, like,
which can be very loud.
That's going to be real loud. That's going to be really interesting. So, yeah, I'm kind of curious. And the trailers for that, have you seen the trailer for part 2?
I have, and it looks like they're gonna delve into like what's it called? What happened like when the
Yeah,
apocalypse like started, when the aliens started coming.
yeah,
So I'm excited to see how that happened because obviously everyone gets absolutely floored by all these aliens because everyone's just running around screaming. They don't know that they can only hear sound.
yeah. I'll tell you what, that's like my guilty pleasure. Like you know how much I love zombie stuff? I know that
Yeah.
sounded weird.
Yeah,
You
it
made a
did.
weird
It
face.
sounded kind of sus, my guy.
But like, I mean, I'm a huge zombie
Keep
fan.
going, buddy.
And you know, I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. I love Resident Evil, all of the old like Romero, Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. The whole concept of like what happens when society starts to fall apart in that scenario is really interesting.
I bet it is, and I'm sure you were happy about last year too.
No, I
When
was not
society
happy.
actually, yeah, I'm
No,
sure you're happy to live it, weren't you?
No, I say this in a pure entertainment fashion. I want COVID to suck a dick. Like I don't. I mean, I want COVID to go away. But you know, even like 28 Days Later. Have you seen that?
No.
28 Days Later is one of the few movies that actually scares me. Like I enjoy watching it, but it actually freaks me out. We'll have to watch that. It's a zombie movie.
Okay, I figured.
It is.
Yeah, we'll watch it.
It's crazy. Which is kind of funny. I mentioned 28 Days Later because Cillian Murphy, who is the main character in 28 Days Later, is in this movie. I don't know who he's playing exactly. I assume it's going to be someone that they meet up with after they're kind of off on the road trying to evade these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. But the first one had heart. I mean, it was emotional, but it was also scary. And it's a scary concept. I mean, like it's scary the killer around the corner, but this is more like you can't do I mean, what can you do?
It's mainly suspenseful. It's suspenseful
Yeah.
to me. It was more suspenseful to me than it was scary.
Right. It's more
Because,
suspenseful thriller.
Pretty much, yeah. Because like even like when I would see the creatures and they're trying to be quiet, like I'm over here holding my breath too. Like,
Yeah.
don't want to do anything.
Well, and then when they do make noise, it's like it's like the adrenaline rushes through. You know what I mean? You're like, holy shit! What? Like, oh,
Yeah, pretty
what do
much.
you do? But and I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like it's in your mind. Like you put yourself in their shoes, and it's like, what do you do if you can't make noise? What do you do? I mean, like think about you walking around your house alone. You still make noise. You know, it's just it's wild. It's kind of a crazy thought.
I would have to hold my fart in every single second I get. Pretty much.
The official synopsis for that one says, following the events at home, the Abbott family now face the terrors of the outside world. Forced to venture into the unknown, they realize the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threat lurking beyond the sand path. So that's a good synopsis. That's an A+ synopsis right there. Whoever wrote that.
I agree. I think they're talking about humans.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, it's gonna be about humans. I about to say it's not gonna just be another like creature that's gonna be lurking around.
Right.
So I'm almost certain that they're gonna face with like civilization after society collapse, which is
I would guess that's where like Cillian Murphy's character comes in, and all these other people.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, moving on. In May 7th, we have Black Widow. I am stoked for this. I've had a man crush on Black Widow for the duration of the MCU. I'm
again, you I think the phrase is woman crush.
What?
You said you have a man crush on Scarlett Johansson?
Moving on.
Okay, I'm just saying. That didn't make no sense to me.
I mean, I'm a grown man, but whatever.
That's fair.
Anyways,
yeah.
I'm excited for her to get her own movie. I think she's deserved it for a long time. Her character has been an integral part of the MCU. She deserves it. I mean, she's definitely earned her place, and I'm glad Hawkeye is getting his one-off too.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a TV series. This is like a legitimate, like full-on fledged movie, which I'm sure
Yeah,
each of them have like the same budget. But yeah, Scarlett Johansson's been here since hell, Iron Man 2.
I know. She's like one of the original ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is kind of fitting that her and Tony both died in Endgame, since they were like the original. They were literally her, and I know it wasn't Mark Ruffalo at the time, but her and the Hulk and Tony were it. You know.
True.
So
And Happy. Don't forget about Happy Hogan.
and Happy. Yep.
Yep.
I believe this takes place in between Civil War and Infinity War. So
Yes.
we're kind of gonna fill in the gaps a little bit with what exactly happened um, during that time for her, and kind of dive into. I'm kind of wondering if we'll get any cameos from anybody.
I mean, we have to get one from Captain America, right?
Probably.
Yeah. And also, I think there's supposed to be a cameo of Iron Man, Tony Stark.
Yeah, I could completely see that happening. Because people would like pee themselves and not.
So it
You
should be
know.
interesting. I would. I hope not, because then the movie theater's going to sanitize it again. So let's just be careful,
Oh
guys.
my gosh.
Unless this is going to be, is it going to be in the movie theaters or is it actually going to be streamed?
I believe this is going to be in the theater. This will be a
Okay.
theatrical release.
All right, I got you.
So I,
Well, that's
I
going to be
think
exciting.
I think Disney's like okay with releasing like Mulan on Disney Plus, but I think when they have something like this that they know is going to put butts in the seats, I think they're like movie theater, like
Yeah,
they're ready.
yeah, I
So
agree.
I think that'll be a cool one. Then we have Godzilla versus Kong on May 21st. If you want to go back, I'm going to throw that thumbnail down below for our episode 3. We talked about Godzilla versus Kong ad nauseum. That's going to be a crazy one. So we're going to settle a debate once that comes out on May 21st.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's going to be date night for the two of us. We're going to watch it.
It will.
Yep.
We're going to go together.
Oh, for sure.
All right, moving on. We have Spiral. Now, Spiral is a spin-off of Saw. I don't think it's a direct sequel to the franchise. I think it's like a true crime version of Saw, basically. Now, even me being a horror fan, I was never a fan of Saw. I felt like the Saw franchise had no substance to it. It was just watching people get tortured, and I don't know. I'm
Oh,
not about
dang.
that. Yeah. Have you seen Saw?
That's a big leap. That's a big assumption. It's actually pretty interesting because
Right.
it mainly follows like people that's like obviously done wrong
Right.
and they're like, paying for what they've done. That's pretty
Right.
much the premise of it. But also it follows I forgot it was Jigsaw, who like
Jigsaw.
is the puppet master of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So like it's pretty interesting. It's not my cup of tea either. Mainly because I don't like watching those movies because those are actually kind of scary because it's like you're in a room and you're trying to escape, and in order to do that, you have to like either severely hurt yourself or like kill the other guy.
Yeah. I
So
don't know.
it's
It
creepy.
never did it for me. But this actually looks really interesting because it's gonna star Chris Rock, Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, it looks like a true crime version of what Saw would be. So I think it's going to be less brutal, less like watching people like rip their skin apart and stuff, and
Hmm.
more like detective-ish. If you've seen Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman,
Yeah,
I think it's going to be kind of similar to that.
that's
So
actually dope.
I'm actually trying to get Julia to watch Seven. I bought it
Oh,
on
really?
DVD. Yeah, she's never seen it. I love that movie. That's a good movie.
You two are gonna be making references in your house every single day. Like it's
I
gonna be
know.
hilarious.
What's in the box?
In the box.
What's in the fucking box? Yeah, so I think Spiral is going to be interesting. More thriller than like gory horror.
Yes, I'm almost
So
certain of that.
and I'm sure it'll be a Jigsaw copycat because I believe at the end of the franchise, Jigsaw died.
Uh, I'm not sure.
I haven't seen the final Saw movie.
I know that he faked his death, and I know that there was a copycat Jigsaw.
Right.
I know, like you're correct on all those, but I don't know like how the whole storyline plays out. So
Yeah, I'm kind of assuming based on the trailer that this is going to be a copycat. of Jigsaw. So
Yeah,
someone kind of
well,
doing, maybe even someone that survived one of the games
yeah,
is coming back to, like, pay revenge. I don't know. You know what trauma does to people. So I mean, something like that.
yeah, I
So
agree. And also, it's gonna be R.I.P. to Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson's character because they're obviously gonna die in this movie.
you
That's almost
think?
how every single Jigsaw movie I've seen, the main characters pretty much die,
Mm,
or they get trapped in another puzzle.
yeah. I don't
So,
know. I think the duo of Chris Rock and Sam Jackson is going to be awesome. That's going
yeah,
to be a fun duo right there.
yep.
Um, so of course, moving on, we have June. Actually, no, not June. I apologize. Cruella comes out on May 28th. Cruella is the live action, like, prequel to 101 Dalmatians.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what the heck is Cruella?
yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
remember. Okay.
Cruella Deville.
Nope. Honestly, never seen 101 Dalmatians.
What?
But, yep, I
You've
haven't seen it.
never seen 101 Dalmatians?
Nope.
Who the hell are you? Hey, were you
I'm the
ever a
one.
child at some point?
Have you seen King Arthur from Disney?
Yes.
No, The Sword in the Stone?
Yes.
Okay, no. Yeah, then I never chose to watch that one then. I
Wow.
saw those.
I think 101 Dalmatians. Well, they had a couple of animated movies, 101 Dalmatians, 102 Dalmatians. I don't know if there was a third one. And then they did live action, like, reboots of them. And I thought the live action ones were really good. But this is a prequel about Cruella DeVille when she was younger and how she comes to, like, hate dogs and whatever. Emma Stone is playing Cruella DeVille.
It's gonna be weird seeing Emma Stone hate
It's good.
dogs. Just gonna
I'll
say.
tell you what, though. There's a picture of it, of her in the makeup, and she's got 3 Dalmatians with her. It looks dope. She actually looks real. It looks good. So I don't know. That'll be just a fun one. I'm curious to see. I don't think that's getting an HBO. That's another Disney one. So I'm sure that's going to be a theatrical release, unless they decide to do what they did with Mulan and throw that guy on Disney Plus.
They probably will, unfortunately, because it's not how do I say? It's not what you would say a mainstream kind of movie.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Like this
do
movie is
you,
gonna be for people that are like fans of that franchise. You know what I mean?
yeah. Do you think they'll do that with Black Widow?
No, almost certain that they'll probably end up doing a
Yeah.
theatrical
That'll probably
release.
make enough money in the theater that they'll be fine.
People will literally get vaccinated just to see that movie.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. This is one I know you'll be excited about. Fast 9,
Yep. I know
May 28th.
they're literally just milking the hell out of this movie. I
They
shit you not.
really are. I mean, I remember I would go over to your all's house and watch all the Fast movies, and they're okay. I like them. I mean, I like them for what they are, for a get drunk and have fun night watching movies. But I was never a huge fan of them.
That's because you weren't a fan of cars, my
Yeah,
guy.
I'm not a
I
car
am
guy, so that's
I am a
probably why.
huge car guy. My oil runs into my entire family's blood. So
Yeah.
like we are all car guys. So whenever we saw Fast and Furious or The Fast and the Furious, it literally struck a nerve. We love that movie. I mean, the Fast and Furious franchise basically opened up the car culture. I mean, it was
Yeah.
kind of like an underground thing, but when the Fast and the Furious came out, it like made it mainstream.
Right.
And now that's why you have so many car culture videos all over YouTube, and that's why there's so many accounts that talk about cars, and that's why there's a lot more uh car meets now coming up nowadays because because the Fast and the
Uh,
Furious it made it mainstream.
yeah.
But here's the big but: the Fast and Furious franchise did go a little bit overboard in the past couple of movies. Like
They really have.
it kind of just went into like a whole like uh not family, but like it like went really off the it steered away from the car culture. Like we started seeing less cars, less realistic modified cars that you would see in the daily scene, and it just went to like these like big blockbuster things. There's a joke running around where they're saying like, oh, Fast 10 is going to be in space, which I'm almost certain they probably would do that, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past them to do it. I don't
They're
know if
gonna
this is
have
gonna be
it.
the last one.
They're gonna have Vin Diesel driving like a Dodge Charger off at the space station or something,
Pro-
and he's gonna land perfect. Like he's gonna land on like the surface of the Earth and be fine, and like everything's fine. Like
Pretty much. I can almost see that because I don't know if you saw the trailer to this. What, he drives off a cliff and he gets hooked by like
yeah.
a chain? That doesn't
Well,
happen.
wasn't
Like,
there one where he drove like through like two skyscrapers? Like he
yeah.
drove like out of a skyscraper and then into another one and out the other side. Like that's the point where it's like, okay, this is fun, but
And
I
the
don't
laws
know.
of
Like,
physics, yeah, that doesn't
yeah,
work. Not at
I
all.
don't know. And I think the cast list is so big. I mean, Vin Diesel, Tyrese Gibson, John Cena, Michelle Rodriguez, Charlize Theron. I mean, it's like endless amount of people that are going to be in this. So
Hmm.
like, I feel like they're kind of having their little contest like the Expendables did of like how many big action stars can we like throw in this thing to get asses in the seats. You know what I mean?
Most likely. And also, everyone, RIP Paul Walker, because he was
Yeah.
like the front runner of this, and
Right.
unfortunate to his untimely death, like the Fast and Furious franchise honestly had to like move forward, and the story was mainly centered around Paul Walker, but it started
Mhm.
moving more towards Dominic Toretto, Vin Diesel's character, which is good too. But I think in this one, it's talking about his little brother or big brother,
Mhm.
which John Cena plays, which is like what?
Yeah.
It's at the point where it's like every single movie is like, oh, you're gonna have to fight your stepbrother, or you're gonna have to fight your mother-in-law. Like Jason Statham's in this movie too, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Not mistaken. Yeah. So like obviously like it's just so many like connected things, but it's still entertainment to me. Like I
Right.
still love seeing those cars driving around and jumping off cliffs. Like cool. I'm gonna pay money to see this.
Yeah. Well, it's Fast 12 is going to be like, join us as Vin Diesel fights his dad's sister's brother's cousin's husband's aunt. Like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah, pretty much, pretty much. Also, real quick, I know that in this one they're bringing back Han from Fast and Furious 3 Tokyo Drift, which
Mm,
is it's gonna like I'm sure that made a lot of fans really happy to see that, because everyone like pretty much thought, spoiler alert, that he died in the
yeah.
movies, but he comes back because you know why? Because they want that cash.
Right.
They want that
If they
money
can write
revenue.
him in the script, they're going to throw him in.
Yep, absolutely.
um, I like Tokyo Drift. That was a good movie.
Yeah, it was probably
I think
I
I
it was
that's
one of my
probably
top.
my that's probably my favorite of all of them.
Yeah,
Is
I
Tokyo
still
Drift.
I agree too.
So, all right, now moving on to June. June 4th, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I don't know. Have you kept up with the Conjuring films?
Not at all.
They're okay. Basically, they're based on Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were actually two real paranormal investigators. These are all like based on true stories. This one, the synopsis is really, really interesting. Check this out. The Devil Made Me Do It reveals a chilling story of terror, murder, and the unknown evil that shocked even experienced real life paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. One of the most sensational cases from their files. It starts with a fight for the soul of a young boy, then takes them beyond anything they'd ever seen before to mark the first time in U.S. history then a murder suspect would claim demonic possession as a defense.
Mm,
Kind of
that's
interesting.
yeah, that's actually kind of sketch,
Like
honestly.
I I know Julia and I watched the first couple of Conjuring movies. They're okay. I'm more of a slasher zombie horror guy, but
Hmm.
they were all right. I mean, I it's creepy that it's based on a true story. That's
Every time,
creepy.
every time I see it based on a true story, I'm just like, oh, yep, this is gonna give me nightmares, or
Yeah,
this is why I'm gonna keep my door closed. This is why I'm
yeah.
gonna hide under my blanket.
Lorraine Warren actually died. Like I want to say it was like in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, they were real. Like she was an old woman.
Holy cow, really? Like recently?
Yeah, yeah. Like recently, like she was in. think she was in like her 70s or 80s. I mean, she was old.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I think her husband had died prior, but I mean, they were like it was real. I mean, The Conjuring is based like that whole series is based on like true events. So
That makes it even more dope and
I know,
scary at the same time.
I know. I think it'll be interesting. I haven't kept up like completely with those movies, but this one actually kind of like I read that synopsis and I was like, that's kind of interesting, like different, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And again, I'm interested for that. I mean, I'm sure after I watch this movie, I'm gonna have to like pray the rosary later that night because I don't need any of that in my life.
You're gonna want to go like sit in church with your Bible for like 4 hours and just like
Yeah,
sit there and not do anything.
pretty much where I
um,
only feel safe. Yep.
all right, next we have June 11th, Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think that's gonna be a fun one.
I'm excited for that one too. I mean, the newest reboot, the Ghostbusters, it did well.
The one with the all-woman cast.
Yeah, it did well.
Okay,
Careful what you say.
I know. I'm all. I do not say this as I don't think they should have made it all female. I had no problem with the all female cast. That was cool. It was a cool, like, different take on it. I enjoyed it. But the script for that movie sucked. It was not good. Like, I am sorry, but it sucked.
Okay.
Like, it could have been a legitimate remake and they still could have made it an all-female cast. But
Yeah.
like, again, my issue is not with the all-female cast. My issue is with the fact that, like, the lines they were reading and the scenes were terrible. Like, so I don't know. And then John Cena, was it John Cena that came out at the end?
No, it was, I don't know. I know Chris Hemsworth was in it.
Chris Hemsworth, that's who it was.
Yeah.
When I mean, his character, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Like I remember watching that and thinking, he's such a good actor. Like, why did he waste his time on this? You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. Like I don't know. And a lot of people may have thought it was funny. I didn't think it was funny. It just didn't hit for me. All of the actresses they got, awesome. I liked them. I think the actresses that played them in the movie were funny. They're funny in real life. I'm fans of them in real life. But that movie, the everything that came together for that movie, I was not about it.
I gotcha.
It didn't do it for me. I know this is supposed to have Paul Rudd, obviously from everything. Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. He's supposed to have a role in this. And I believe there is a mother and Finn Wolfhard and his sister who their grandfather is one of the original Ghostbusters.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that's how this all ties in. I don't know who Paul Rudd's character is. I have a feeling that they're leaving it like off the radar on purpose, but I think that Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and Sigourney Weaver are going to be in this movie. Because
Really?
she kind of leaked that, like, she pulled a Tom Holland and like said something that I don't think she should have in an interview. Saying that they were filming this. So I think they're going to be in it, which I think is dope.
Yeah, I think this is probably like their, second shot at like seeing what they can do with the Ghostbusters.
I know. And I mean, there's potential there.
I agree too. I mean, I love Paul Rudd and I'm excited to see what his story is in this. I mean, obviously from the picture I'm seeing right now, I mean, he's holding the device that holds the ghost.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be interesting. I mean, obviously they'll probably like let loose some of the ghosts that they've kept, trapped.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. They're bringing back the original what's it called? I don't know what they call it. The Ghost Mobile. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like they're bringing back the original? Yeah, they're bringing back the original one, which is gonna be dope. So I love that.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I don't know. I like the original Ghostbusters films. I think they're fun.
I haven't like seen them straight through. I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I liked it.
Yeah,
I love Bill Murray. He's funny.
Just real good 80s, 90s fun. Like
pretty much, yeah.
It's what it is. So next we have on June. I keep saying May. I'm stuck in May for some reason. June 25th, Venom: Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah.
Again, I'm psyched to see it. I want to see where they go. I'm really intrigued to see Woody Harrelson playing Carnage.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson is such an oddball actor. So like whatever he plays is always gonna be fun.
Yeah, he is an oddball character. But I don't know. He plays crazy really, really well in the same way that like Christian Bale or Michael Keaton plays crazy really well.
Yeah.
You want to get nuts? Let's get
Yeah.
nuts. It's like that same kind of like, I don't know. It's just they play crazy well. And I think he's going to bring a lot of that like serial killer psychopath to the role. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. Who's the person that gets the symbiote of Carnage? I forgot what his name was.
Cletus Cassidy.
Cletus Cassidy. Yeah, that's.
Yep.
I mean, when I saw that after credits scene in Venom, I mean it introduces him in such a good way. Like I'm excited
Yeah.
to see how he escapes and what he does afterwards, and
Right.
how Eddie Brock is gonna like be connected to it all.
Well, and you know, I kind of expect Morbius and Venom to join the MCU because everything we've heard, shout out if you watch episode 2 of Let's Talk Movies, we talked about this again ad nauseum. You know, I think Venom and Morbius are not going anywhere. I think they're going to still be a part of that greater Spider-Man universe.
Hmm.
Um, and I would really like to see a Venom, Spider-Man, and Carnage movie. Like all three of them fighting each other. Because, I mean, you know, that's a big part of the comic books, too,
Yeah,
is the
pretty
three of
much.
them fighting. So, like, I think that would be really cool. I mean, let this just be Spider-Man, or not Spider-Man, be Venom and Carnage going at it, because that's going to be brutal. But then, I mean, take the next Venom movie and have Tom Holland Spider-Man thrown in that. You know what I mean? And then have it, you know, you get your moment of Spider-Man and Venom fighting, but then make it kind of turn Venom into that anti-hero that he is in the comic books, and let Spider-Man and Venom fight Carnage together.
I'm
You know
all
what I
for
mean?
that,
I
without a
I
doubt.
think that would be dope. That would be
Hmm.
a really cool use of him. I don't want to see Carnage die at the end of this,
Yeah.
which I'm sure he won't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hope they don't kill him off because obviously he's such like a pivotal character,
Yeah,
and he obviously gives Venom and Spider-Man like hell throughout the comics, and you know if they end up killing him off, I mean what's left?
I know.
I
So
obviously there's plenty of like other characters they can go with, but I mean in order for Venom and Spider-Man to like connect with each other in the greater span of the MCU, like there has to be like a symbiote enemy that they both have
right,
to fight. So
yeah,
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
yeah. It would be a cool if you're gonna have Spidey and Venom team up. It would be a cool idea for it to be against Carnage.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I
Because you
agree.
always have like that banter between Venom and Spider-Man where like they hate each other but they also don't. Like it, you know what I mean? It's just like a honestly Spider-Man probably hates Venom, but Venom likes Spider-Man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Um so I don't know, that one will be fun. Moving on to July, Top Gun Maverick. I'm sorry, every time Top Gun's fine. I'm not going to be racing to the movie theater to go see this. I'm not a huge Top Gun guy.
I
Um,
will.
my parents liked it a lot. The original. The only thing I can think of whenever I see Tom Cruise now is his like, "What are you
His COVID
doing?"
thing.
Like his
Yeah.
whole rant. Like that's all I think about now.
Pretty much. Which is absolutely nothing. It doesn't. There's no similarity between Tom Cruise and the way Maverick acts in the movie. Like
I know.
it's day and night. But I mean, like Brad said, he's a teacher, and I'm planning to become a pilot soon in my life. And you know, every student pilot that's trying to get their career and being in aviation,
Yeah.
they all can recite Top Gun, from the beginning
Yeah.
to end. So we're all fans of Top Gun. And I'm excited to see what happens in this second one.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think Maverick ends up being an instructor and teaching the new students. So it'll be interesting to see how what's it called, a hothead kind of guy end up teaching all these new recruits. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
Um, I love seeing the dog fights and everything. Just the whole aspect of the flying. It just it brings joy to me every time I see it.
I think it said he's a test pilot.
He's a test pilot. I thought he was
Yeah.
teaching
Because in
teaching.
the synopsis it says after more than 30 years of service as one of the Navy's top aviators, Pete Mitchell, Maverick, is
Yeah.
where he belongs, pushing the envelope as a courageous test pilot and dodging the advancement and rank that would ground him.
Oh, okay. So I must have read a completely oddball synopsis then, because
Yeah.
that's actually pretty interesting, and it's
Mhm.
also kind of like a horror for some pilots because we're all worried about automation taking our jobs away. So
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you feel like Tom Cruise plays the same role in every movie?
Yes, but we all love it.
I feel like he plays every character the same. I'm not
Yes,
gonna
but we
lie.
all love it. We all love it. We're all for
I
it.
don't know.
Either we love it or Scientology ends us all. That's all I gotta say. Again, guys, don't ever question Scientology. That's the only religion I will never make fun of.
Oh,
I don't want to cross that threshold ever.
moving on. July 9th, we have Shang-Chi. I said Shang-Chi. Apparently, Kevin Feige said Shang-Chi.
I'm almost certain he's wrong too. I'm just gonna
I don't
say
know.
that.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings comes out July 9th. I know virtually nothing about this character.
Dang.
You explained the Ten Rings to me briefly and what that was. I this one is kind of foreign to me. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, same too, because I mean, I don't know much about this movie. I don't know much about that character in the Marvel universe, and
Mhm.
I'm excited to see it because they do the MCU does a good job of bringing in characters that we didn't
They do.
necessarily know, and we end up loving them. Like Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody really knew about the Guardians of the Galaxy, but
Right.
the second it was released, everyone fell in love. So
Definitely. Well, even some of the side characters in Thor. I mean, look at Loki. I mean, Loki, granted, Loki is probably bigger than Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi, but I mean, look at people love Loki. I mean, Loki is like one of the main characters in the MCU now. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
mean, honestly, I couldn't have told you who Loki was before the MCU. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I knew who Loki was, but I didn't know what his part was in the Marvel universe. But when the Avengers came out, no, it was Thor. When Thor came out, and we
Mhm.
found out about Loki. I mean, his story, he came out swinging. Like I loved his
Yeah,
storyline. So sad, so tragic, and we ended up all loving him. And I'm excited for the Loki series to come out because again, everyone ended up loving Loki.
yeah. So that'll be interesting. And again, that's a theatrical release. I do not think they're going to go Disney Plus with that unless COVID still sticks around and the vaccine takes longer. I I could almost see them. I don't think they're going to push any of these back anymore. I think all of these movies that have been switched from multiple studios. I'm not talking just Disney. I think all of these movie studios who pushed movies back into 2021, they're not going to push them back anymore. Um,
Either they won't push it back, so they'll either release it or they'll end up being streamed. Like they're
yeah.
not going to push it back. There's no other
Well, I mean,
way out.
I know Halloween Kills was supposed to come out last October, and Halloween Ends, which is supposed to like complete the trilogy, was supposed to come out this year. But of course, COVID happened. And I mean, Blumhouse flat out said they will not push Halloween Kills back another year. Like, we are getting it somehow this year. So I don't know what streaming service that would be on. But I mean, I think that's going to be the case with a lot of these. I think they're still going to, if they can, if the theaters are open, they'll still do a cinematic release. But I think they'll throw them on Disney Plus too. I don't think they're going to push them back anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, anyways, moving on, we have July 16th, Space Jam 2. I believe it's called The New Legacy.
The New Legacy, I like that.
I think so. Yeah, The New Legacy. Um, obviously, this is going to star LeBron James instead of Michael Jordan, which is cool. I think that's a good pick. If they were going to pick another basketball player, that's the one to pick. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
absolutely. Love
I would
or hate
agree.
him, LeBron James is, one of the greatest basketball players of our time. So we can all agree with that. And also, he's already like solidifying himself as an actor already. He's been in I think I don't know if it's been like one movie. Have you seen Train? Is it Trainwreck with like what's her name?
Mm,
I forgot. He was in a movie with forgot his name too. He was an actor in Barry. You know that TV show on HBO?
I, I've s- I've seen the trailer. I haven't watched it
Yeah,
though.
he's in that movie, and he's honestly kind of funny. He's pretty funny. He plays himself, but
Yeah,
he's funny. So he's obviously, he has the chops of being an actor. So
yeah.
I'm excited to see how he plays in Space Jam 2.
Yeah, there's no synopsis or anything. I'm just curious to see like where they're gonna go with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just gonna be fun, kind of the same way that Tom and Jerry is gonna be fun. It's just gonna be fun to see all the Looney Tunes characters like together again and out and about and you know doing what they do. So
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm excited for this one too.
yeah, it'll be cool. Don Cheadle's supposed to be in that movie too.
What is he supposed to play?
I have no idea, but Don Cheadle is on the cast list. It's him and LeBron James is like the top two
That'll be interesting.
actors. So
Yeah,
I have
I'd
no
love to see
idea.
it.
Last one for July, on July 16th, Uncharted, with Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, Antonio Banderas, Sophia Taylor Ali, and Tati Gabrielle. Um, I have played through some of the Uncharted games. I don't think I've finished them. My brother liked them,
Mhm.
and Jeff had played through them, but I don't. It'll be
I've
fun. I think it's, from what I understand, it's a prequel to the
I've
games.
never played the game, but I know that with Tom Holland being starring in the movie, it'd be interesting to see him play someone you know, the other than Peter Parker,
Yeah,
which is like a quirky little kid who's a superhero.
right.
And I don't think you've seen. Have you seen? Is it The Devil All the Time yet? Have you seen that yet?
No, we keep talking. I need to watch that
Yeah,
because we need to do a review on that.
it's an interesting movie. It hits you in some places. I'm just saying it's kind of sketchy sometimes, but it showed a different side of Tom Holland, and he definitely doesn't act like Peter Parker in that movie for sure.
I,
And yeah, so seeing him like branch out from the MCU, I mean, he's had a couple of movies before the MCU, but none of them were really like well known, I guess.
right.
But seeing him in this one, it'd be interesting to see a different take the way Tom Holland will.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tom Holland is a really good actor,
For
and
sure,
I
yeah.
think I think Spider-Man is just the beginning of his career because I
Yes.
mean he was young. I think it recently he was talking about they're filming this Spider-Verse movie in Atlanta, and he started filming it on the soundstage where he auditioned for Civil War.
Oh, that's dope. That's pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
so he was like, it's kind of come full circle. Like, he auditioned for Civil War to play the role on that soundstage, and now he's back, and they're filming the Spider Verse movie, and they're bringing back Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool. But he was only like 17, I think, when they cast him for that.
He's like our age, isn't he? He's like
Yeah, I
20.
mean he's our age now, but he was only like 17. I think he's a year younger than us.
How long ago was Civil War?
It's been a minute.
That is a
It's
while.
been. It's like 2016, I think.
Lord, that is a long time to me. Just saying.
So
Gee.
I don't know, but it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see where they go with Uncharted. I like that adventure. I'm sure it'll be kind of like an Indiana Jones type thing.
Yeah, for sure. And aren't they coming out with the Indiana Jones movie too? Like pretty soon?
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of funny because Uncharted and Indiana Jones, like the final Indiana Jones film, I feel like those two movies have been in talks for like 8 years. Like they've been
Yeah.
trying to get them off the ground and nothing's happened. And I don't know, maybe they're just now getting to the point where they can launch those.
I mean, yeah, because I mean everyone has free time to work, so I mean, why not get started on it?
All right, moving on. We have August. So for August 6th, The Suicide Squad. Now, I'm not going to lie. When they first announced this, I thought it was a reboot. I didn't realize it was a sequel to like Suicide Squad from a few
Really?
years ago. Yeah.
I mean, I
So,
figured it was gonna be a sequel because I mean they're bringing back Margot Robbie, and I know that they're losing Will Smith's Deadshot,
yeah.
and what else? What else?
Which is a shame because I thought Deadshot was the best part. Besides Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, I thought
Hmm.
Will Smith was the best part of that movie.
I agree too, and it's gonna be unfortunate to not see. I don't know what the reason was for Deadshot to
I
be
don't
not
know.
be in it.
Well, and I'm not sure. I didn't honestly. Are those canon in the DCEU right now? Like, is this going to be Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey, and the Suicide Squad? is this going to be canon in the DCEU, like with Justice League and Wonder Woman?
I got no clue, man. I
I don't.
wish I knew what the DCEU was doing,
Yeah.
but they got so much stuff on their plate. Like, I'm just like, yo, man, just give us a call whenever you're ready. Because
Yeah.
honestly, you're playing games with me.
I don't know. I'm just curious, but anyways, Suicide Squad I feel like is one of the better entries in the DCEU. You know what I mean?
I don't know, because look, I think it's hilarious because the synopsis I see, it says 2016 Suicide Squad may be rotten, but the 2021 follow-up might just redeem the series. Like, what? Like, they're
Well,
admitting the fact that it was probably a shit movie.
yeah. I mean, that's not the synopsis. This is from Movie Phone.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's not the synopsis. But yeah, I don't think it did very well on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that Rotten Tomatoes, I'm not gonna lie, I don't read Rotten Tomato scores because half the time when a movie is fantastic, Rotten Tomatoes is like, it's rotten. It sucks.
Yeah,
And then when
yeah,
you have a movie that's terrible, they're like, this was incredible. It's misunderstood. It's just like, what are you talking about? Like, it's the
yep.
movie sucked or the movie's great. Like, I don't know.
That's why
They're always on like the wrong side.
I usually listen to like the audience score. That's usually where
Yeah.
I kind of agree.
Yeah.
The Rotten Tomato scores is mainly from critics, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the hell they be smoking or drinking because they're obviously on a different planet from us.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, so the Suicide Squad, obviously Margot Robbie, Viola Davis, Joel Kinnaman. The cast is stacked,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of actors that I'm not really familiar with. But I mean, there are a lot of actors that are going to have a role in this, and a
Yeah.
lot of the characters I'm not familiar with.
I mean, obviously, I'm excited for King Shark because I
Yeah.
love King Shark. He's hilarious.
Yeah. So it'll be an interesting one. I mean, I'm curious to see, like what exactly they do with it, what the story is going to be, how it ties in with the DCEU, if it really is part of the DCEU. I
I
don't know.
think it would just be like a side story. Also, I'm excited to see like, which one of them is going to die because obviously, it's a Suicide Squad. So like a good portion of them are probably going to have like an untimely demise.
Probably.
Yeah. Like
So
whenever Slipknot came in from from the first Suicide Squad, he literally had like a screen time of like I don't know 5 minutes, and
yeah,
then they blew his head off. I'm like,
right.
oh, dang, okay,
That was quick.
whoa,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that'll be an interesting one. Um, Next, August 27th, we have Candyman. Now, this is another horror movie. This is a Jordan Peele sequel, not a remake, of Candyman from 1992. Have you seen Candyman?
I have not, but now I'm excited knowing that Jordan Peele is
Yeah.
directing it because
So
he's done a
yeah,
pretty good job most of them.
the original Candyman starred Tony Todd. It's been one I need to revisit. I haven't watched it in a very long time. But it's kind of a creepy slasher, and I mean, I think what Jordan Peele has done very well is, horror is it's such a funny genre because it's so classified. Like the 80s was like the slasher era, you know what I mean? Now we're kind of getting into more like paranormal. Of course, you had The Exorcist, you had Poltergeist and stuff like that from the 70s and 80s and 90s, but I think a lot of the horror films that come out now are like The Conjuring. I mean, they're paranormal. And
Yeah,
if you've seen the trailer for Candyman, it's got that Jordan Peele feel to it. Like it feels like Get Out and like Us did. And it's kind of a different like thriller take. It's not necessarily gory horror. It's more what you build up in your mind. Now, obviously, Candyman is a slasher, so I mean, it's going to have to be a little gorier. But the concept looked really interesting. It was like it's like a 21st century take of Candyman.
that'd be dope to see.
Yeah,
Honestly, I agree with you some part and like about how horror movies are like so they're so broad. Like there's so many uh subcategories of horror. Like you said,
Yeah.
there's slashers, there's paranormal, there's sci-fi, there's
Zombies.
suspense, zombies. Like there's so many of it, and Jordan Peele just has a um, good way of like, what's it called? Not suspenseful, but uh, like mind tampering. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
with
like you
the
think it's one thing, but it's not.
yeah, so I'm almost certain there's gonna be some aspect of that. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's his best. I think that's the best thing that he's introduced, and not introduced to horror, but that he's brought out of horror today is that a lot of it's in your mind. It's not, it's not somebody creeping around the corner, or it's not Leatherface with a chainsaw. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
it's in your mind. Like, what is this? Like, I'm kind of confused, and like the confusion builds and builds and builds until it makes you understand at the end of the movie, and you're like, oh, like that's what this has been, and it's not what I
yeah.
thought it was going to be. So he's kind of come out. I remember watching like Key and Peele when it was on TV and stuff. He shocked me. I mean, he's a good writer and a good director.
I had no idea that he could come up with stuff like this. When I heard
No,
that he was doing a horror movie, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna be good. But then Get Out, my
yeah.
goodness, that was a great movie right
And I
there.
mean, I'm not like crazy fans of Get Out and Us. I mean, they're good. They are
Mhm.
good. And as a horror fanatic, I appreciate what he did for horror. You know what I mean? He kind of revitalized it in a way that we hadn't seen in a while. So
Mhm.
I really appreciate it, and I like the look of Candyman. I need to watch the original. I think it's awesome they got Tony Todd to return as Candyman because I mean obviously it's one of those things where it's like you can't beat the original person. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
like
I
that. It's
agree.
just one of those things like the original actor. You just can't beat it. I mean,
Yep.
it'd be like if they tried to replace Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow. Like you can't. Like don't even try. Um, of course, I mean, I'm not putting them on the same level,
Yeah.
obviously, but
Yeah,
I
I hear you.
mean, it's a cool 21st century take into Candyman, so I'm kind of excited. Um, so moving on, we got September. This cracked me up. Jackass 4 is set to release on September 3rd. Now, I don't know if anybody heard, Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O were injured like their first day of filming, and they were in the hospital. From what I understand, they were trying to run on treadmills with sousaphones, like big tubas, on
Yeah.
on their backs. So I don't know what they I don't know. I don't know. I loved watching the Jackass movies when I was a kid. I thought they were hilarious.
I think they're hilarious too. I wasn't allowed to watch them when I was a kid because my dad thought they were like dumb. But I always loved watching those idiots, hurt themselves. It's always entertainment.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. Like I went through a phase where I was like, I, I I remember I watched. I think it was when the third one came out. I went and saw it with my dad in the movie theater, and then I believe I watched the series, like the MTV series. They were on
Don't
Netflix or something at one point.
don't don't tell me you went out and tried to do the stuff because I know you're not that
No, no, I
spontaneous.
didn't try. No, I didn't. I
Okay.
wouldn't. You kidding me? I wouldn't try to do any of that. But I remember watching like the Bam Margera show and like, what was it called? Do you remember what that was called? Bam show.
The Bam Show, Wild
Viva
Boys.
Viva La Bam.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
it
I
was
got
called.
you.
Yeah, Wild Boys, all that stuff. I
Yep.
remember watching it and thinking it was hilarious. And it's stupid. I mean, it's stupid teenager antics. Like that's why you think it's funny because you're a
Yeah.
teenager and you know it's funny to see people doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's kind of funny and ironic that they got injured on day one because I mean
It
they're
sh-
they're
it shows
old
that
and
they're not holding back. They're obviously not like trying to like I guess hold themselves back from doing crazy stuff.
yeah.
Like
And I wonder who they're gonna get. Like I know for a while Bam Margera wasn't doing very well after Ryan Dunn died.
hmm
I think he was in rehab for a while. He divorced his wife. I don't know. I'm sure they'll get most of the main cast back. Um, Preston and Wee Man, and I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm
It'll
sure
just
most
keep
of the
running.
cast will still be there, and I hope they bring like special guests. Have you seen that one where they kidnapped Brad Pitt?
Yes.
That one's hilarious, and the way they planned it out was brilliant. They literally told the local police department, like, "Hey, if you hear a phone call saying Brad Pitt got abducted, forget about it." How do you
Yeah.
tell that to them? How do you
I
tell
don't
the
know.
dispatchers
Could you
like, "Hey,
imagine
don't worry."
being the dispatcher? They'd be like, "What?"
What?
You know what I
Who?
mean?
Who got kidnapped? Yeah, I'm sure it's absolutely hilarious.
I always liked Preston chasing Wee Man when they were in their underwear.
I haven't seen that.
There'd be like a crowd of people, and Wee Man would come running, like looking behind him, like scared, and then Preston would come running after him.
Oh man,
I
I
just
and I remember the which one what was it? It was the I think it was a prank against Bam, where like he had like the big hand, the big rubber hand with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like seeing that one always cracked me up too. I just love watching them prank each other. Those are always the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, man. I used to love Jackass. I always thought it was hilarious. Um, so moving on to October, this is going to be a big one for me. Halloween Kills on October 15th. Now, have you seen the original Halloween? If you
I
haven't, it's
want to say
okay.
yes, but I don't remember.
All right, I'm going to change that. So, I mean, the Halloween series it has such a long, crazy history to it. I mean, it's been rebooted a couple of times. Um, there are a ton of sequels. John Carpenter never wanted there to be a sequel. You know, I mean, at the end, spoiler alert, at the end of the original Halloween, Michael's doctor shoots him off of the balcony and saves Jamie Lee Curtis. And, he shoots him off the balcony and he goes to look over the balcony and he's gone and the Halloween music starts playing. And during the credits, it's showing like people's houses, like empty rooms in people's houses and the streets and like everywhere you've been throughout the movie, and you just hear his breathing. And basically, that was supposed to be the end. John Carpenter didn't want there to be a sequel. He was like, that's scary enough, not knowing where he could be anywhere. He could be in your house. That was the idea. Well, of course, they made Halloween 2, they made Halloween 3, which was its own separate thing. I'll explain all this to you later.
Okay.
I know, but essentially they wanted to do an anthology series where each year there would be a new Halloween movie under the Halloween title, but it
Hmm.
wouldn't be Michael Myers. It would be like different stories. So obviously, Halloween 1 and 2 are both about Michael Myers. Halloween 3 is a completely different storyline. And then Halloween 4 picks up Michael Myers again. They went 4, 5, and 6, and then they rebooted it and did Halloween H2O and Resurrection. And then they gave Rob Zombie the rights, and Rob Zombie did 2 sequels. He rebooted it, which Rob Zombie, that's a whole nother video. Rob
Did
Zombie,
you not like it?
I liked certain aspects, but here's the problem with Rob Zombie's remakes is have you seen a Rob Zombie movie?
Does Rod? I think he did the Devil's Rejects,
He
and
did The
that was
Devil's Rejects. He did Three from Hell. Here's the thing. Every Rob Zombie movie, I feel like I need to go take a shower and like we talked about earlier, like take a shower, brush my teeth, and like sit in church with a Bible. Like it makes you feel disgusting because it has to be like this like trailer trash version of whatever he's doing. Like, and that's
yeah.
kind of what he did with Halloween. Like he gave him like a trashy backstory, and he some of the scenes were just unnecessary. The first one I don't have a major problem with. The second movie, the first 20-30 minutes is incredible. It's some of the best footage of the entire franchise. And then Laurie wakes up and it was all a dream. And then it's like
Oh, that's gay.
it's insane. But in 2018, Danny McBride and David Gordon Green wrote a sequel to the original. So they decided to bypass all of the other Halloween sequels that they ever made.
Hmm.
So Halloween 2018 was a direct sequel to the original 1978 film, and they decided to make that a sequel. So we have Halloween 1978, Halloween 2018, and then this year we'll have Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. So basically, that's kind of the the in a nutshell version of the Halloween franchise. And they did a really good job. I mean, when I first saw Danny McBride attached, do you know who Danny McBride is?
That's the no, I don't.
You would, if you
I
saw a
tried.
picture of him, if you saw a picture of him, you'd recognize him. But I mean, I didn't know what to expect, but Halloween 2018 was good. It was a good movie, and they did Michael right, and that was the thing that I think everybody needed. Was, they did so many weird things with Michael, like throughout the series, and like he's a guy in a mask who's crazy, and he's looking for Laurie Strode, and I mean, that's it. Like he rides that line of being like supernatural or being human, and that's the whole point. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't need to be a part of a cult like they did in Halloween 6. He doesn't need to be, they don't need to make it like something it's not. So
Yeah.
Halloween Kills, I mean, we haven't gotten a trailer. We've gotten a couple of teaser trailers. We've gotten like a sizzle reel. Hopefully in the next few months, I would guess probably May or June, we'll get a trailer, we'll get a poster. And we'll have a lot more Halloween content then, because I'm gonna have to talk about it. But
Yeah. Well, sounds like we're gonna have to do a video on that. So
we will. I'll have to update you. We'll have to go through and watch all of those at some point. It's funny because Julia went to the drive-in. She had seen the original like loosely. She had kind of watched it, not all the way through. But she went and saw Halloween 2018 at the Bourbon Drive-In with me, and she loved it. She thought it was awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's
good. It's good, man.
At that moment, it was love.
It's one of my favorites, man. I love it. So I'm stoked for Halloween Kills. So
yeah, for sure.
I could talk about that forever. But moving on, November we have The Eternals on November 5th. Another one, stacked cast. I'm curious what they're going to do with it. Just like you had mentioned before, Marvel is really good at adding in characters that you wouldn't expect. And I think this is one of those entries that no one was really expecting. So I'm curious to see where they go with this too.
Same. I mean, I'm always excited for all the new Marvel stuff, and seeing how stacked the cast is, I'm interested to see what the storyline they're going to go with and how it progresses throughout the MCU. Because obviously, this is going to be like a core movie for what they're planning. Actually, I don't really know, because I mean, this kind of just follows. I think this is going to follow like stuff about the Infinity Saga and not like the multiverse that they're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't expect this to be a part of the multiverse. Obviously this is going to be, I'm not sure when this takes place. I remember Kevin Feige in the Disney Investor Day video saying this was, in terms of the timeline of when this takes place, this was the most ambitious thing they had ever done, because it takes place across thousands of years. Like, if you look at the synopsis on IMDb, it says, the saga of the Eternals, a race of immortal beings who lived on Earth and shaped its history and civilizations. So I think we're going to get like different eras in this movie. I don't think it's going to take place like now, or like Captain Marvel did in the 90s, or like Captain America did in, the 40s and 50s. I think this is going to take place, and we're going to see kind of an evolution over the course of the movie. The other thing that I thought was interesting, I believe I read somewhere that Thanos' parents are members of the Eternals.
I was like, I don't see how they're connected into it, but maybe I could see that.
I don't know. I could be wrong, but I remember reading that somewhere. So I mean, we could get more Thanos in this, technically.
Baby Thanos. I know Don Cheadle.
I know we could get young Thanos.
Yeah, I know Rhodey's all about seeing baby Thanos.
Yeah, this is really a spinoff of what Rhodey said.
Probably.
All right, next we have November 19th, Mission Impossible 7. This is Tom Cruise's second movie of 2021. Again.
Hey, man, this guy's going to consistently get cash. Like, he's going to get cash for, like, all these movies forever. He's going to keep doing movies.
He's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Homeboy's set up already.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Scientology is keeping him young forever. I'm calling it right now. That's what's going on.
You're gonna get us shut down for talking about Scientology as much as you do on here,
Hey, you know what? Bring it on. I don't care.
making
I don't
fun
care
of
at
it
this
like
point.
you do. Um, yeah, so
Dude,
Mission Impossible 7. I mean, it's kind of got the same Expendables, Fast and the Furious thing going on. I mean, like, I don't think they're ever gonna stop. I think we're gonna see like Mission Impossible like 48, where Tom Cruise is like a 75-year-old man, like diving off a cliff. Like, I mean, it's I don't know. It's gonna be crazy.
I'm excited to see what stunt he does because you know how like every single movie he does like a crazy stunt.
Yeah, I know, and I mean, I'm sure it'll be an action fest. It'll be good. Um, I'm sure we'll get his rant somewhere in the movie. That would be. I would die. I would go see it just for that. If they
I would if whenever this movie comes out and like in DVDs or when it starts streaming, they need to do a behind the scenes where we get
right where you
actual
get the
video,
unfiltered, just like,
just absolute ranting on that poor little gentleman that's just
well,
dead
you
fast.
know, it would be funny is you need to like go to the movie theater, see this, and right as the movie's starting, you just stand up and you're like, put your masks on. He was on
Yeah,
the phone with
absolutely.
producers every night.
You know what I would love to see? I would love someone, yo, whoever ends up watching this, you guys, if you guys are good with animations, you need to do an animated short of that clip of that
Of Tom
sound.
Cruise going off.
Yes, I would love to see that. I would love to see that happening.
It'd be funny.
Mhm. But I'm
Um,
excited for Mission Impossible 7.
yeah,
Obviously.
it'll be good. I've seen a couple of them. They're all right. I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with them. I mean,
I
it's
haven't
an
seen
action fest, you know.
pretty much. Yeah, it's the same principle as like Fast and Furious because you got to be a fan of that franchise to
Right.
actually like be really excited for it.
Yeah. So, and there are diehard Mission Impossible fans.
Oh, I'm certain. I'm sure they're all in
So,
Scientology too.
my God. Moving on. November 5th. This one is kind of interesting. It's an untitled movie about Elvis Presley. Tom Hanks is attached to this project, although Tom Hanks is not playing Elvis.
Oh, okay. I must say, like,
Yeah,
bring it on, Tom Hanks.
he's not playing Elvis, but he's attached. They do have Elvis cast. I do not remember who it is. It's a name I was not familiar with.
I honestly, I got nothing to say about this one. I
I
mean,
know.
I wasn't really an Elvis Presley fan ever because, I just wasn't a fan of his music.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'll still be a good biopic. This was the movie that, I remember they mentioned this movie a while back when Bohemian Rhapsody came out. Remember?
Yeah.
And everyone was just throwing ideas like, "Oh, here comes the what's it called? They're gonna make a universe out of all these uh like im- important music figures." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What? That's not how that works. That's not how a movie verse works." But I'm sure this would be a fun movie for those that were a
Yeah.
fan of Elvis Presley. Obviously, I love Bohemian Rhapsody. I loved Elton John. I mean, this is a hot topic, but I actually liked Elton John's movie more than I liked the Bohemian Rhapsody.
I thought they were both really well done. I
I
don't.
I thought so too, but I connected more with Rocket Man. So like, if you guys
Yeah.
ever watch it, watch it. It's a great movie. It talks about it doesn't necessarily it talks about his life and him going through it, but also talks about him suffering through all of the fame and fortune he went through, going through his sexuality, and just so many things that he went through and trying to become this superstar. So I loved Rocket Man, and I hope they do the same for Elvis because honestly, I don't know much of the history of Elvis. Maybe this movie will make me a fan of him. Who knows?
Yeah. And I mean, I assume this is going to be along the same lines as, Bohemian Rhapsody or Walk the Line, which was like the Johnny Cash film from a while ago,
Yeah,
or
which is a good
Rocket
movie
Man. I
too.
mean, it'll be along the same lines, and it'll be great. I mean, I was never one to compare Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man just because I thought they were both really well done. And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not going to sit here and compare Freddie Mercury and Elton John. I'm not going to do it.
Neither would I. I mean, they're all great they're all great singers and they're all important in the music world. But I mean, in regards to like I know I've had a conversation with some people and they're like comparing Rocket Man to Bohemian Rhapsody. But whenever they have that conversation, I have to
Yeah.
state who I side with, obviously.
Right. And then, of course, moving into December, Steven Spielberg is directing a live action adaptation of West Side Story, which is interesting. As a music person, I'm probably going to want to go see it just
Yeah,
because
same.
it's weird seeing Steven Spielberg before West Side Story. Like, I don't think Steven Spielberg has ever directed a musical before. I believe they were filming in January of last year, and then COVID happened. So then they couldn't. So I don't really know what the status of this is. I don't know if it'll still be released on December 10th. But it'll be an interesting one. I mean, I'm curious to see, what they do. I mean, Leonard Bernstein's West Side Story is incredible. I mean, it's arguably the greatest musical of all time,
Yes, without a doubt. I love
So
West Side Story.
it's great. So, I mean, I'm curious. And of course, Steven Spielberg, I mean, he's not going to go wrong with it. You know what I mean? He's not. I mean,
Without a doubt.
they're gonna assemble a stellar cast. It's gonna look great. It's gonna sound great. It's gonna feel great. It's gonna be West
I
Side
mean,
Story.
they're bringing back Rita Moreno, who is like one of the stars in the original West Side Story,
Yep,
who
that's
is
true.
actually a pivotal actress in the Latin American community. So I'm all set for seeing her again.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. On December 17th, we have that untitled Spider-Man movie, which will reportedly introduce the Spider-Verse. I'm not going to get into that anymore. Episode 2, link down below. We have an entire episode dedicated to this Spider-Verse movie.
Yep.
I mean, there are a ton of cast members confirmed. It's going to be crazy. There's going to be a whole lot going on. This is going to be a game changer for the MCU and for what we've seen so far. So I'm not even going to say any more about that. It's going to be wild.
Yes, I agree.
So,
And honestly, my mouth is tired from talking all about it. We went balls deep into that movie.
We did. And then, of course, December 22nd, 3 days before Christmas, The Matrix Part 4.
Why?
I know. I said the same thing. I feel like they kind of summed The Matrix up like it was done. Like, I don't really know where else they're going to go. I don't.
Yeah.
Didn't Neo die?
I think Neo died. And also, who plays
You said why?
I mean, honestly, I wasn't much of a fan of The Matrix. And like when I heard it end, I was like, cool, I guess. Like I remember talking to a couple people like, yo, The Matrix is done. And I'm like, all right, cool. There's another movie you can watch next week.
So
and then
I'm gonna give you a big throwback right here. So I actually liked the PS2 video game of The Matrix better than I liked the Matrix movie. I remember, do you remember that game?
I never played that game because I wasn't a fan.
That game was freaking awesome. It was not, I mean, it was like the same universe, but I mean, like, it was basically just like a shoot 'em up. Like, it starts out, you're in a bank, and like for like a whole piece of the game, you're like riding around in a car, like shooting at people, driving after you and stuff. Like, it was just fun. Like, it was just like a stupid fun game. But I remember playing that. That's my best memory of The Matrix, is playing that PS2 video game.
Yeah, and not the movie.
I know.
Granted, okay, look, I love Keanu Reeves. He's, becoming an absolute superstar more and more now. But, The Matrix, I didn't love Keanu Reeves from The Matrix. I liked him from Speed with Sandra Bullock. He was cool in that movie. And then obviously when John Wick came out. And then what's that new movie? There's a new movie on Netflix. It's called Always Be My Maybe. Have you seen that one?
Yeah. Where he plays himself. That is hilarious. Because
he's the complete opposite.
I know. Like, he's not himself. He's very he's like a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, arrogant dick. Just
he's
like absolute piece of crap.
But it's just.
But I mean, that's why we loved it.
Yeah, that was funny. But I love Keanu Reeves. I think he's a great actor. The Matrix never did it for me. So now we have
the name. I was gonna say real quick, Lawrence Fishburne, I think.
Yes.
The one who plays the guy that wakes Neo up.
Yeah.
He's not in the movie. I don't think he is. That man is
I don't know.
smart. He said, you know what? This franchise is over. I'm not going to do it again.
I'm done.
And I agree with
So
you.
I have no idea. I don't know what they're gonna do with Neo and Trinity after that. I mean, I don't know where they're gonna go with that. No idea.
Neither do I, but I mean, hey, milk all that money you want, buddy.
I know. Same thing. Fast and Furious, Expendables, Mission Impossible.
But
Milk it.
except I like those. So,
Yeah,
oh
that's
well.
fair. That's fair. All right, so we've gone through the entire year. The last three we have, I'm sorry, are really, they don't have a release date yet. They're expected for 2021, but there's no official release date. So Black Adam, I know we have The Rock playing Black Adam. From what I understand,
Yeah.
he's like an anti-hero type deal.
Every single if there's a solo movie of a villain nowadays, it's almost every single time they're end up being an anti-hero. Obviously, other than the Joker, because he was a straight up villain. But
Yeah,
I mean, all these other ones, they're all going to be anti-hero, which I kind of see to a certain degree. Again, I love Black Adam in the comics, and also we all love Dwayne the Rock Johnson, absolute stellar guy, love him to death. His
yeah,
work ethics, love it all. So it'd be interesting to see him play Black Adam, and I
yeah.
would love to see him. I know they want to do a movie where Black Adam, Shazam, and Superman. I know they want to do that trio of a movie. I just don't know
Probably.
if when that's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
'Cause
I mean, I think the only things we've seen about Black Adam is the pictures that The Rock has posted where he's getting jacked to play, to play the role. I mean, obviously more jacked than he already is. He's the freaking Rock.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he was wearing a Black Adam shirt, and I mean, I know it's a spinoff of Shazam, but I mean, other than that, we don't really know that much about the movie. Um, I'm sure comic book fans are going to jump all over it, and they're making their predictions for what it's going to be like. But so I don't know. We'll see.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I'm
Um,
excited for it. I don't know when it comes out. It says only in
yeah,
cinemas, so they're obviously gonna try to do the cinema theatrical release and not just
right.
stream it.
Yeah. I mean, it just says TBD on IMDb, so I'm not completely sure when it's going to come out. Um, Again, so next, this one is kind of a personal one for me. Dave McRae and Bruce Dale. Dave McRae's got his own YouTube channel. He is a voice actor in Canada, and Bruce Dale works in the film industry. Both of them work in the film industry. If you've seen Black Christmas, it's a 70s slasher flick about these girls at a sorority house, and they start getting these weird phone calls, and there's a serial killer kind of picking them off one by one. And they realize at the end of the movie, they trace the call finally, and the phone call is coming from within the sorority house. So the killer is inside calling them. And he's got multiple personalities. You never see him. You see his eyes at one point. That's it. You never see the killer. He goes by Billy. And that's basically the plot of Black Christmas. It's really interesting about a horror movie taking place at Christmas time, because that's kind of something you don't really see very much. I'll have to show you
Yeah.
that one. It's good. It's interesting. A lot of like atmosphere. It's very dark and creepy feeling. But Dave McRae is doing a professional crowd-funded sequel to Black Christmas called It's Me, Billy. And here's the synopsis of that movie. Unaware of the danger that's hunting her, Sam and her two best friends are spending Christmas Eve at her grandmother's old country mansion, stalked by a sinister evil that's been lurking in the shadows for nearly 50 years. Sam is about to come face to face with her grandmother's chilling Christmas past, the deranged psychopath known only as Billy. So
Okay.
it's a really interesting film. The teaser trailer is out now on Dave McRae's YouTube channel. If you want to check that out, shout out to you, Dave. It looks incredible. Like, there are people like Vincent DeSanti with Womp Stomp Films. They're doing a Friday the 13th fan film series. I mean, dude, they're knocking it out of the park. I mean, like you would see these things and you would not think they were fan films. I mean,
Really?
it's thousands of dollars that have been raised. And I mean, they're shooting this stuff on like professional equipment. I mean, what they film, major like blockbusters on. So I mean, it looks incredible. It's Me, Billy looks incredible. I think it's going to be a really creepy, cool sequel. I'll definitely have to show you Black Christmas. It's a good one.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to see it. And
So
the plot of this movie seems pretty chilling to me. I mean, so it's obviously a sequel, right? So
it's
like
a
the grandmother
direct
was.
sequel, yes.
I gotcha. I
Yep.
gotcha.
So Black Christmas, forgive me, I'm not sure what year Black Christmas came out, the original. Um, but I know they remade it at one point, I believe in the 90s, and then early 2000s, and then they remade it again like 3 years ago, but the remake sucked balls from what I understand. Like, wasn't even the same storyline. Like, it was a completely different thing. So
Really?
I think Dave and Bruce are doing a really good job of tying it into the original, and going back to the roots of it a little bit. So it's
Yeah.
an interesting one. Sam, the main character, she is Jess Bradford's granddaughter from the original film. Which,
Oh,
yeah, so it's kind of the same. You'll hear like when we watch that, Billy, who's the killer in this movie, when he's like making the phone calls throughout the movie and the girls are getting the calls. I mean, he's like, I believe he has multiple personalities. So it's like you're hearing different voices, almost like there's different people on the line, but it's all him. It's all him like coming out as like this one deranged, weird psychopath. It's creepy. The last 10 minutes of that movie is like, whoa. It's a slow burn until you get to the climax. And then it's like, you know what I mean?
yeah. So I mean,
It's very good. It's really
I'm
interesting.
definitely gonna check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last one on my list, another TBD, it's been announced. We don't have any real information about it. We got one poster. That's an untitled Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel.
Oh,
Again,
okay. I honestly did not know what this was about.
yeah. It's an untitled Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel. The only synopsis or thing we have is in 1974, the world witnessed one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history. And in 2021, the face of madness returns. And, in the trailer, if you zoom in, obviously on the poster that was released, you have Leatherface's face. But if you zoom in on his chin, there's the little Easter egg of him with his hands up in the air swinging the chainsaw, like from the end of the film. So,
Sorry, guys. I'm looking at the picture.
so
Oh, and it is
I'm curious to
crazy.
see what they do with that. The Texas Chainsaw is another one. It's had kind of a weird history. The first film is incredible. It's amazing. I mean, it is one of the creepiest, most atmospheric horror movies ever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the scariest because again, it's one of those things where it's a good slasher movie, but it also makes you feel disgusting after watching it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I
so
mean,
it's
it's
like a Rob
this
Zombie movie.
kind of, yeah. I mean, it was like a Rob Zombie movie from 1974. Plus, the fact that it's based on a true story is
Yeah,
crazy.
one of those. Yep.
I know. Have you seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's good. The 2003 remake was phenomenal too. That's one of the best remakes of any movie ever. Um, it was great. So I'm curious to see what they do with this. I know a lot of people were not fans of Texas Chainsaw 3D, which came out 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago.
But
People
that's
were
a
not
sequel,
fans of
though,
that one.
right?
That was a sequel to the original, but now they're saying this is going to be a sequel to the original. Maybe I guess that's the new thing is them trying to like bypass all the other sequels they've ever made and just make
Yeah.
a direct sequel to the original because that's what's easiest.
Yeah, pretty
I don't
much.
know.
Because, back then they were just like throwing whatever they can.
Yeah, and the thing that interests me too is, I mean, if you obviously we never see Leatherface's actual face in the original movie because he's wearing the skin mask over top of it.
Yeah.
But in this movie, I mean, that was 1974. I don't know what I believe it was 1972 or 3 that the actual crime happened.
Mm-hmm.
But Leatherface would be like 70 years old in this. Like he
I
would be
can't.
old. And I mean, it works with Michael Myers. I mean, Michael Myers is in his 60s in this new Halloween film, and it
Is
works.
he really?
Yeah, he's in his 60s.
He's got to have like arthritis. There's no way he can be slashing people right there. His wrist would hurt.
And you know, that plays into the whole, is he supernatural? Is he human? What is he? Because I mean, he's an old man. He shouldn't be able to do any of the stuff he's doing, but he's doing it, and he
Yeah.
seems unscathed by it. I mean, I'm sure this will be the same kind of thing. I think Leatherface is a much different character than Michael Myers is. You know, Leatherface is more of a deranged. He's like a 5-year-old trapped in a 30-year-old's mind in the first film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, in the first movie, you almost kind of feel bad for Leatherface towards the end because, I mean, like, you know, he's introduced as the serial killer, but then you see how, like, his family members treat him and this, like, psychotic, gross family, and it's like, oh, you kind of feel bad for him. Like, they treat him like crap. So, I don't know. I don't know where this one's going to go. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. So, yeah.
I'm gonna have to like re-up my horror movie because there's a lot of these I haven't really like. I don't particularly remember seeing them, or I don't remember like the plots of them. So I'll have to like keep up with them now.
Yeah, I'll change that.
Okay, my guy.
We have a whole year to get you caught up.
For sure.
So, all right, guys, I think that's going to do it for us with episode 4. We want to hear what you guys have to think or have to say. Tweet at us at We Talk the Movies, or if you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this year's movies coming out. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. Be sure to follow us, and episode 5 will be out next week.
For sure. And also, guys, if for any of you are listening, go ahead and share our accounts. You know, our last podcast got like 84 views. I mean, it's small, but I mean, it's our biggest viewer of that we've had. So I mean, we're steadily growing, and I'm excited to see us in the next year. So excited to see how much this grows. We'll be here for a while. So you know, like and share, talk to your friends, tell them more about us if you like us, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
Absolutely, man. We will talk to you guys soon. Peace.
See ya.